Hello,
Yeah,
how are you?
yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, as good as one can be in the circumstances.
That's it.
So you're heading back training tonight. Have you? Is tonight your first night, or have you been doing a bit?
No, I've still been training. Just um, going along to my gym, pretty much doing some bag stuff. Basically, whatever you can do.
Yeah.
Whatever you're allowed to do. Yeah, because obviously you're not allowed to be in within 2 meters of someone else still and stuff. So
Yeah, makes sparring a bit difficult, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously, you're one of the lucky ones having your own gym, so at least you're able to keep active.
That's it. Exactly.
So, I mean, obviously, the last kind of big news that everyone would have heard of would have been your scheduled fight with Mark Diakiese that obviously was called off. But had that not have gone ahead and we hadn't have had coronavirus, would you have had something scheduled for now?
Well, I pulled out the fight. I pulled out the fight anyway before the coronavirus stuff with a knee injury.
Mm.
Um, I had been my knee's been pretty much goosed for I can't even remember how long it is now. It's a good few years, even going way back to the Jess and Ayari fight in Moncton, which was I think 2 years ago in October. It was even bad then. I got surgery on my knee January 2019. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like a year and a half ago. And ever since the surgery, just my knee was still the same. It never really fixed it. And to be honest, the surgeon did tell me that. He did say, look, I don't think it's just meniscus problems that's causing the swelling in your knee, blah, blah, blah. He fit, yeah, he did the surgery, took away the tear that I had in the meniscus. So yeah, it's just because I've barely any cartilage now, and I think there's some like bone change and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, I've basically been told it's arthritis that's causing the problem, like bone to bone. So at least I know it's like nothing serious really. It's just a bit of manning up and a bit of wear and tear of the knees. So I know that I can. I'll be able to fight if I train a little bit smarter.
Mm.
If it ever flares up, just going swimming instead of running and stuff. But the knee's a lot stronger. I'm doing a physio program at the moment as well, just to kind of be safe, strengthening it up. And I'm just wanting to get back in there and fight.
I imagine so. Is it frustrating for you because I mean, like obviously it sort of it goes with the territory, right? Being a high level elite athlete, regardless of whether it's combat sports, sports in general, injuries are part of the game, part and parcel of what you do. But also then you're kind of not in control of having control of your body, I suppose, and how it performs, and like you say, having to be smarter and to train differently. Is that a cause of concern for you, or is it just adapt and overcome?
Yeah, just adapt and overcome now. Now that I know, it's not like in the past. I thought, is it maybe my ACL? Is it maybe more serious than what it is? Now I know it's just inflammation. It's the inflammation
Hmm.
that causes the pain because the bones are rubbing off each other. Um, I mean, a surgeon said to me that over the long term, it might be worthwhile maybe trying to get the stem cells and the
Hmm.
osteotomy or whatever, where they cut the
Yeah.
bone and realign it. But they've basically gave me the go ahead, saying, look, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to fight with your knee now. Um, so yeah, I mean, I know when I do get a fight, there's maybe going to try and hit my knee. I didn't, me personally, I didn't feel like it's even going to make it like it's my back leg as well. So um, I'd see the point if it was my front leg. If it was my front leg, then obviously they can kick my leg to bits. It's a bit harder to kick the back leg.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it doesn't hurt at the time. Like I could whack my knee and it's no sore. And it's not even for getting hit, really. It's for whatever I'm doing that hurts it. So if I go out for a run, it's the bone hitting off the bone. It's not really, anything hitting the knee that's the problem. And even if it was, it's no sore until like the next day anyway. So if I could make it to the fight, which I'm going to be able to now, but if I was able to make it to the fight before, then I didn't care how swollen my knee goes or whatever it is. That's after it. Who cares? Like the Michael Johnson fight, I got a cortisone injection 2 weeks before the Michael Johnson fight because it was giving me issues in training and stuff. I had to rest certain days when obviously I should have been training, and but I managed to make it to the fight, and then I threw the leg loads in the fight. I tried to, it was my back leg, so I threw loads of leg kicks. After the fight, my ankle, my foot, and my knee were all pretty swollen like a balloon. But who cares? I got the fight out of the way, so
Absolutely.
So yeah, Diakiese or whoever I'm gonna end up fighting. If you watch it, you try and go for my knee. Then
is it important to have that mentality? As an MMA fighter, as a professional fighter, do you have to have that? You know what? I'm just going to get in there, and once I get into the fight, everything else will look after itself.
I think so. I think having the mentality that I have makes a difference. Like, it's a fight at the end of the day. I feel like mentally I'm fine. I could go and fight him right now. So I've had to do that in my life. Like, and it might sound stupid, but I've had throughout my childhood, I've had sometimes where somebody will come to my door, tap on the door, and say, right, there's maybe a big crowd because whatever, and they're like, right, it's ready, time for a square go at the front garden. And the heart rate goes up 100 miles an hour. I'm like, oh, and you just got to deal with it. I go out and I would have a square go with somebody, like multiple, probably maybe over 50 fights before I even started MMA. And people might think, oh, that's nothing compared to, but it's the exact same. I get the exact same nerves as I did then, going out in my front or my back garden or meeting somebody at the park and having a square go, as you like to say.
Square go.
It's kind of the same nerves as fighting in front of thousands and millions of people.
Well, it's an interesting one because those fighters who've come from a similar environment always seem to say that, what they're doing now, not that it's easy, but that it's not as hard for them as people would think because they've had to almost, like you say, fight all their lives.
That's it. Most fighters, like, to make it to the top where I've made it to, there's usually a backstory as well. It's unless you're Diakiese and you're just athletic and you get your way there, there's probably been a past where you've been bullied in your childhood, or you've changed your life around. And to be honest, I've done a bit of both. I got bullied when I was younger, and I also started becoming a bit of an arsehole when I was like 18, 19, going out drinking, getting in fights, getting in trouble. I got put in prison one time. And yeah, just like it changed my life, MMA, so for the better.
So when you talk about, being bullied, being the bully, we often see, not just as fighters, but as adults, certain patterns that follow us from when we're kids. So how much of that sort of like, not maybe bully mentality or being bullied and wanting to prove something to someone, how much of that shows up now as a fighter, as a professional fighter? Like, do you still feel like that kind of child that was bullied in certain aspects of your career?
No, like if any of them tried to bully me now, they'd just get a bang straight in the face. They wouldn't even dare about trying it now. But and I wouldn't really.
But I mean, more mentally than anything,
I wouldn't say I became the bully. It was more just like I was always up for a fight, and then half the time, a lot of the time, I would get the better. And then that's why I would end up getting in trouble with the police and whatever, because they're on the worse off end or whatever. But
well, it leads me to another question I have for you, in that with fighters, we kind of see that it's split into two: those who like to compete and those who like to fight. Do you know, some people like the competition element of fighting, and then other people just like getting in there and having a scrap. Would
Yeah, I
you
like
say you're
both.
more the latter, or?
I would like both. I like both because before I would have done this all for free. If I had a good job and I didn't have to put that much time into it. Thanks, Lil. If I didn't have to put that much time and whatever, I would fight for free still. So like basically, if somebody came with me with another job, like say I got paid millions of dollars or whatever for doing something, I would still want to fight, and even if it was for free, I would still do it. But now that I obviously get paid, I wouldn't do it for free. And because it's the way that I am. But
Do you think that mentality is what has led you to be as successful as you are and to reach the pinnacle of the sport, which is the UFC?
yeah, I would say my upbringing probably helped because I had to get in a lot of fights when I was younger. I was a bit of a cheeky little shit, if you like. I used to just like, I used to like giving the older kind of gang or whatever loads of abuse, loads of cheek, and then they'd end up chasing me and whatever. And
So,
sometimes
go on.
even if I could get away from them, like I would shout abuse, no realizing that they're going to see me next week or whatever and try and do me. But I think all that upbringing, everything, and I think that's why I've got the mentality I've got. Just be ready to fight whenever. I would literally go out right now and fight Diakiese out in the front garden or anybody else as well.
Well, you know, when we look at you know, you start like having that background and then obviously starting to fight or starting MMA, starting to train. What was it for you? Like, what harnessed you towards the gym? Was it somebody, did someone say, come with me? You know, did you start out in boxing? Was it kickboxing? What was it for you?
Eh, it was just being an arsehole in the street, I suppose. Fight in the street, really. And then, yeah, one of my mates, Dean Crichton, because he kind of known that I'd, you know, I was getting in fights in the street and whatever else, and I was known as a kind of one of the hardy guys or whatever, or one of the guys that thought he could fight, because realistically back then I was maybe tough, but I couldn't fight. Like, but I didn't realise that until I was able to fight and defend myself, and I could throw a punch and whatever. But no, there's so many different people out there. Like when I started training MMA, there were so many guys that would like literally beat me up, and I never knew it. Like you would walk past them in the street, and you know you would think that they're just a wee boy or just skinny or yeah. I suppose starting MMA humbled me, in that aspect. Like I wasn't as tough as I thought I was, and I just fell in love with it. That was it. I started from that first session. I just knew that that's what I wanted to not so much do for a job, but more like just do as a hobby. I'm like, I love this, and yeah.
So did it not take you, like, how long did it take you before you took it seriously and wanted to compete? Was it something that you approached a coach about, or was one of your coaches, did they look at you and go, you know, you've got a lot of potential here, we could probably do something with you?
My career was like really fast tracked. Like I had my first fight in 2009, and then I had 12 fights that year. So it was December 2009. By December 2010, I had 12 MMA fights, 7 of them amateur, 5 of them pro.
Wow.
I won them all, apart from the last one, which was a robbery anyway. The fight got stopped because the referee thought my arm had broke because I was in an armbar, but I'd actually escaped the armbar. But anyway,
No way.
that was to one of my teammates now actually, but yeah, and then I just kept fighting and kept winning. So and then before you know it, like I was fighting for like the on top title. I fought for the total combat title. Then I got a call for Bama. I fought Dale Hardiman for the Bama title. I won that, and then I had the kind of trilogy stuff with Kurt Warburton. I fought him on Bama, then Cage Warriors. I done the 4-man tournament, won the Cage Warriors title, and it just kind of, it just, like, I never really ever seen this coming, the UFC, but until maybe Cage Warriors, I'm like, you know what, I think I could fight in the UFC.
It's unusual to hear you say that, because so many guys now that are like 6, 7, 8 and 0, all what they've gotten into the sport for is the UFC. So it's kind of a thing, sort of like the youth of the sport. You know, they've just got one focus, and that's getting to the UFC. But for you, having all that experience in all the different promotions, and arguably they're all kind of like leveled up each time. Each promotion that you signed with was a level up in terms of like production, fights, different things that maybe led you to the UFC. Are you glad that you had all those experiences, or would you have liked to have been signed to the UFC a lot sooner?
Nah, because I think that's one of the reasons that I'm still in the UFC. A lot of people obviously will know, or they'd imagine it's hard to get to the UFC. It's hard to do what I've done. I'm not trying to boast or whatever, but it's a hard game. And obviously I could get it fast tracked. Some people have been fast tracked there with who they know and their manager, or fighting smart fights and building up their record. But really, if you go for a show in Scotland to the UFC, you're probably going to crumble and you're not going to last. And like you said, I've kind of built up with where it's a little bit of a better promotion every time. The production, getting used to all the big crowds and the cameras. Because I remember when I first fought in Cage Warriors, and that's the first time I seen such kind of, I would say, well, maybe Bama, the professional cameras, and it was just different to like your local show along at the pub or whatever.
The community centre.
One of the community centres. But I think that's why there's so many top fighters, even from the UK, that I even know personally that I've trained with and stuff, that were absolute killers in the gym, and they're not even in the UFC now. It just shows you how hard it is to stay in the UFC.
Well, how hard it is to get in. Never mind stay as long as you have. I mean, like, we're delighted that you have done, but what would you attribute that to? You know, obviously the skill set is there. You're very much a fan favorite, so there's all those different qualities. But we have seen it before where people have had the skill set, they have been popular with fans, but they've been dropped after 2, 3 fights. Why do you think you're different?
I think just the hard work, the mindset, maybe. Like, I mean, I've never ever declined a fight. I know that some fighters get hand-picked opponents, or they'll get a selection. They'll maybe get like a selection of 5 fighters, and they'll get to pick and stuff. And I've always just accepted whoever the UFC want me to fight, I'll fight them whenever it is. I've stood in late replacement. I fought Ross Pearson on 4 weeks' notice. I fought my debut on 2 weeks' notice. And I'm always in the gym. Like, if I'm healthy and I can train, then I'll be in the gym. I'm open minded, so I'm always willing to learn as well. I think that's a big thing, being open minded. Like, sometimes a fighter can get to a certain point in their career and just think that, you know, they know it all. But it's good to be open minded, even if it's learning from somebody that you see that you're better than. Because again, it's good to just try loads of different stuff, whether it's a move in jiu-jitsu or a certain technique on the feet. And apart from that, just hard work, determination, and putting in the work. The work ethic, I would say, is the biggest one. Anybody that wants to get to the top, but it doesn't just come by sitting on your arse in lockdown. It's whatever you're doing in between. And
Can you remember the moment when you got the call to say, or was it a call to say that you were being signed to the UFC?
Yeah, it was a call from my old manager, Tam Collins. He I remember I was in discussions with my coach a little bit earlier. Cage Warriors just went like down the pan kind of thing. Like we weren't sure what was happening with them. This would have been about January 2015, and then so I wasn't sure what was happening. I was due my third child was due on April the 15th. Yeah, April 15th. I was going to have my third child. And I had just moved back to Kirkcaldy. I had just moved back home where I'd lived my whole life. Like I moved away to closer to training and stuff for a year. But I just moved back. I just got a good job, or a decent job, being a fitness instructor. And it almost seemed like it was just maybe time to start working and being a dad and kind of maybe not giving up, but I wasn't sure what was happening because of Cage Warriors. And then I was still training away, doing what I could. And then, and because I was in the fitness kind of gym, I started trying to get in better shape as well. Like with the physical kind of aspect of things. And then 2 weeks before my debut, 3 weeks before my debut, I was cornering some of my teammates down in Newcastle. We were staying down there, and I ended up getting probably the drunkest I've ever been in my life. I can't really remember what even happened, but I was really drunk. And then a week after that, obviously, I got the call. So it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks before on 2 weeks' notice. It was, I think it was the day after my birthday. Because I just ate a pizza, I just ate cake, and I got the call saying, do you think you can make lightweight in 2 weeks' time? And we had just spoke saying, do you think you can maybe make welterweight in 2 weeks' time? And I was like, I was even thinking, Christ, even welterweight is going to be a bit tough. I was about 86 kilos, 85 kilos. And I remember, like, I walked into my kitchen, I started stripping all my clothes off while I'm on the phone, getting the scales out, checking my weight while I was on the phone. I was about 85.5 kilos. And I just said, what's it for? Like, well, I think he had told me it's the UFC. And I was like, so what is it? Is it a contract? Is it just one fight? Like, asking more of the details. And he said it was a 4-fight contract. And I remember I didn't think I could make the weight, so we kind of added it up, me, my coach, and my manager at the time. We were just like, right, well, it's maybe better to take the fight. I'll probably miss weight, and then at least I've got the contract, and I could focus on the other fights and have full fight camps and whatever else. And then pretty much starved myself for 2 weeks. Tried to train on probably 500 calories a day. Trained twice a day. Just loads of fitness. Got done in shape and got the win. And that was pretty much how it started for the UFC anyway.
Like, you know, we hear those kind of stories a lot in terms of the UFC, like people getting late call notices or getting that, you know, that they call it kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks notice.
Yep.
And is it just kind of one of those things where you just have to do it because it pretty much is a once in a lifetime opportunity?
Yeah, that's it. And that call might not come again. And sometimes, you know what, so you can get some fights when you're fighting for the big promotions and stuff like Cage Warriors. Sometimes you can have a fight that's tougher than one in the UFC. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a chance in a lifetime, and I took it with both hands.
Definitely. And in terms of the experience, like the first night or the first fight camp, or well, I know obviously it was a short fight camp, but the first fight week where you're signed to the UFC, obviously you had the experience of Bama and Cage Warriors. They do kind of the similar setup with, you know, the weigh-ins, press day, media day, and all that kind of stuff. But how different is the UFC? Is it a bit overwhelming the first time because you've obviously, you know, the prestige of the company and what's involved?
To be honest, you know what? I was just so distracted the first fight camp. I was so distracted with just making weight. I almost forgot I was fighting. I was so focusing on trying to make weight. Like, I had a lot of the weight to lose. I was losing 1 kilo a day to start with. Then it slowed down. I had to change my diet and go even stricter. And it was just that was just what was in my mind. I was just like, oh, I need to try and make this weight. Even though it was short notice, you know, it wouldn't look good if I didn't make the weight. So,
Yeah.
But that being said, the signing the posters and all that was new. That was kind of new to me. But you know, some of the filming stuff you had to do before the fight, that was all. That was so tough. CBN, I was so. I think they actually made me do it the day before the weigh-in as well. Where they have to make you do some shadow boxing, and I'm like so drained. I remember him just saying, "Can you do that again? Can you do it again? But put your hand up." And I remember just thinking, "I'm going to end up setting about this camera, man." Oh, that was an absolute nightmare. And I was like, please tell me it's not going to be like this every time. But it was obviously just because I was so drained, barely any calories. And I'd already trained probably once or twice.
Do you know, it's gas that you're saying that, because like obviously this is a bit different because we're in lockdown, so I'm utilising, you know, the time that I have. But normally Fight Connect TV is covering events, you know, regional events around the country and in the UK and stuff. And one of the kind of the fastest of it is doing documentaries. So I usually do like a couple of weeks out with a fighter, have one fighter in the lead up to a big fight. And then, you know, filming is going really well, everything is going great. And then it's fight week. And it's just like, as someone who has to film you, you know, it's so horrible. It's just, you just don't want to say anything. They're going through so much, and it's the final week, and it's the final cut, and the emotion and the tension, and then you've got a camera in their face, and you're like, sorry, can you say that one more time? You know, it's terrible.
I remember I'd cut the weight, and I couldn't even speak. My mouth was that dry. If I tried to speak, my tongue would get stuck to the top of my mouth. That's how dry I was. And then I remember I'd made weight, and I was like, oh, brilliant. That's me made weight. I've refueling up. I think I had an IV because at that time you were allowed IVs.
Yeah.
So I got an IV in the room, started feeling brilliant, and then something seriously went wrong with my throat. I started speaking like so squeaky, and then I wasn't able to talk, and I was like, I'm gonna have to pull out the fight because I've got a sore throat. So I had a wee scare even after that, but
no way. So for you then, when you are fighting and you do get the win, or when you get the loss, at what point does it kind of hit you? Let's look at the win. At what point does the win hit you? Is it in the ring when your hand is raised, or in the octagon? Sorry, is it back in the changing room? Is it the hotel the next morning? Is it 3 weeks after the fight when you're sitting at the kitchen table having your breakfast? When does it show up?
I'm just doing an interview now. I'll just go in another room. Sorry. So, probably. I'll just go in this room now. It probably hits when the money's in the bank. I suppose on the Tuesday.
Are you running to the cash machine?
The bank balance just went right up. But right after the fight, I suppose. It's still overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes I forget that, you know, to some people I'm a certain person, and where I've came from, just kind of in the Bronx, in the streets or whatever. Aye.
Does it make you proud knowing what you've achieved and where you've come from?
Yeah, because that's it. Because even if I retired, or like for whatever reason I got cut, then I would be proud of what I've done. There's not a lot of people that can have 11 fights in the UFC. Still, I've got a winning record, 7-4. I've beat some legends. I've been beat off some good guys as well. And it's been pretty cool. I've got to see loads of different countries. Like, I'd never been to Poland, Brazil, America, Canada. Like, I've been to all these different places through either training or fighting. So I mean, I'm not done yet. I've still got loads of kind of new goals, and you know what? That last win over Michael Johnson's given me a lot of confidence. It's made me realise I can hang in there with anybody. And he's fought and beat some of the best guys in the world. And I just beat him. So I want the big names now, and I've kind of decided to myself as well. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking start acting like myself. Sometimes, especially for a lot of the time, actually, I started changing and started trying to be somebody different and speak all proper because you're on the cameras and whatever else. But I'm like, I'm just going to act myself now. I'm going to try and speak how I speak, you know, say what I think and just go with it. And
is it easy to get caught up in trying to do that, though, in the environment that you're in the world that you're in?
Yeah, what I would say it was, because especially when it's different countries and stuff, because I need to even speak a bit slower and start speaking a bit like the correct kind of language or but yeah, I'm like, now I'm just gonna try and speak the way I speak, and if you don't like it, then tough shit.
Absolutely, yeah. More power to you, 100%. Before we go in and have a look at the question box, because everyone was sending questions for you today, but I was just interested to know what your best bit of advice was that you were given in your career.
In my career.
And who was it by or from?
Best bit of advice. To be honest, I wouldn't say I've got a certain one. I've had some advice for a few different kind of, like, my coach has given me loads of different advice. I can't think of a particular one that he said, but I'd say if anything, like, James has been the guy that I trust the most, and something that he says, like, if he says something, I believe him. I believe, like, he'll maybe say that he believes in me and he knows I can do it, or so the kind of changing the question a wee bit, I would say the best part of my career is when I moved from my old club, Edge MMA, which obviously I still appreciate everything they've done for me, but moving to higher level MMA under James Dillon, my head coach. Ever since I've done that, that's what took my career right up, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without him and all the guys that are the part of our team. So that's the best kind of advice because I suppose there were some people saying that I should maybe move to another club, so whoever advised me to try and do that.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you touched on it, because it's a common thread with fighters, you know, in being successful with a coach that they started out with, and then knowing when the right time is to move on to somebody else, and then they have to deal with the loyalty aspect of it, and what's right versus what's right for them versus what's right for, you know, the coach. And so I imagine it's very hard to know when or who is the right person to take along on your career with you.
Well, I just kind of thought, where I was training before, even though I was winning fights and I was still doing well, I was having to do a lot of other stuff. Like, I was going to 3 different clubs. I was going to a boxing club, I was going to a Thai boxing club, a BJJ club, and 4 actually, and the MMA club, Edge MMA. And one, it was costing a fortune, paying all the different direct debits. And I just thought, you know what, I was getting BJJ, I was getting Thai boxing, I was getting boxing to get my hands better, but I was never really getting it all structured together, like the ground and pound and all the other stuff. And then the second part of that is I would be able to do whatever I wanted with all the guys in the gym. No disrespect to any of them that I trained with, but I was the best guy and I was never getting challenged and put in certain positions. So when that happened in the fight and I'm underneath in the mount, I'm like, I'm not used to being here. Or I'd sweep them easily. So when I move to higher level, you know, I'm getting challenged. I'm getting guys that are better than me in different ranges, maybe on the feet or on the ground or both. And then I've got as well the coaching from James.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to go into the question box and have a look and see. There was loads of questions that came in today.
Yeah.
So let's see. Saul McGlennon has asked, what is the dream fight and where would you like it to take place?
The dream fight?
Yes.
Dream fight would be, it would probably be against Conor McGregor in Glasgow.
No! There's actually another question here. Which is the better crowd, Dublin or Scotland? Irish
both,
or Scottish crowds?
To be honest, both are good. I would say obviously Scotland because, you know, I know that it's the Scottish fans, but every time I've been to Ireland as well, Dublin or Belfast, the crowd's been amazing as well. Like,
Well, we have a very much of a bond with the Scots because I think
yeah,
we have that kind of Celtic edge, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When I fought in Ireland, it feels like I'm fighting at home. So the fans make me feel like I'm at home.
Good. Let's have a look here. Ryan Wood has asked, do you know what your walkout song for your next fight will be?
I usually try and figure that out the day before the fight or something. But when the guys hounding me saying, I've not got your music yet, what is it? And then I'm like, shit.
Here's us thinking it's methodical. There's weeks got into you pre-planning your walkout music.
I sometimes like, you know, if there's been a certain song that I've listened to a lot during the fight camp because it remembers me. I like to play that sometimes because it remembers me the amount of hard work. So before I'm going out to the fight, when I'm going out to the fight, it remembers me all the grit, all the hard work, all the hill runs, all that kind of stuff, and just it gives me the confidence knowing that I've trained as hard as I could have.
Good answer. Kane McCann has asked, what reasons did people give you coming to your door for a square back in the day? No comments.
It was probably just, to be honest, it was probably just because I was quite cheeky. I was quite a cheeky guy. Even at school, I was a class clown. I would always want to be I wasn't interested in learning. I was just there for the laugh, and so it was probably just that, you know, different crowds and yeah, that's all.
Shania has asked, if the fight with Mark Diakiese does come together, what will be your style of attack for the win? I think she means what will you use? What tactics will you use for the win? Obviously, you can't give too much of away right now.
Nah, I can't anyway. I don't even care if he knows what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to go forward. Just non-stop going forward. Go forward, put my hands on him, kick him, knee him, punch him, and just be aware. Just always watching. Like, I know he's got explosive power. He is a powerful guy. He's got certain things that he's better than he's not. And he's just athletic. So just making sure that he doesn't catch me with that one shot or the flashy stuff, and punish him for anytime he tries something flashy against me. Make sure I punish him for that. I believe I can beat him on the feet and on the ground. If I see a takedown that he's going to have to be worrying about, then I'll take him down, beat him either ground and pound. I might even slap him and make the ref pull me off. Or submit him, or like I said, knock him out on the feet as well. If he forgets that I've not got, if he forgets about my power in the left hand and my kicks and whatever, he needs to go back and watch some of my fights.
Great answer. Karen has asked, if you had to choose to isolate with 5 people, dead or alive, who would you choose?
I don't know if I'm allowed to answer. my parlours there. I would go wind her up to say, dead or alive, if I had to choose 5 people to isolate me, I was going to wind you up and say some hot woman.
Don't get yourself in trouble on a Wednesday afternoon.
To isolate, and I suppose it would maybe just be 5 guys that I could train with. Yeah, because that's the one thing that I'm missing the most. I've been able to go to the gym and train in the gym, but just missing punching somebody in the face and then punching me back. As daft as that sounds, just missing some sparring and rolling and stuff like that.
Absolutely. You're lucky over there because it's been announced that martial arts gyms can train now. Isn't that right?
I'm not actually sure. I think they've put up saying something like the elite people. So basically, I think that's meaning if training is your job, which it is for me, then you're allowed to go back to training. But I'm not sure if that's England. It's so confusing, like the England and Scotland and like but
so we're the same. I think we were told August is when we can all go back training over here. Yeah, so seems so far away. But it is what it is.
And it's how do you train for a fight if you're not allowed to?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. You know, we're all saying about like, you know, we're all going to be demoted back to white belts for definite. You know, like it's been so long since anyone has gotten to train. It's like it will be 4 months in August when we're back. You know, so. But
I think the next thing that I'd probably do, like, if it's kind of allowed, is maybe just choosing one guy then. Choosing one guy that I train with all the time, and that's obviously reducing the amount of...
Hello!
Hi!
Hi!
And then just doing a lot of training with them, rowing, sparring, and take it to there.
It's a good idea. Okay, take one more question here. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Shane Smith has asked, who was your biggest inspiration growing up? Fighters in brackets, and then what favorite fight of theirs is your favorite?
To be honest, I didn't really watch a lot of fighting, although I like doing it. I don't know why I like doing it. It wasn't anything to do with the martial arts side of it, to be honest. It was just because I liked a scrap. I didn't watch any UFC whatsoever before I even started training. So I'd trained MMA before I had even watched it. And same with boxing and stuff. I never really... I'd trained a bit of boxing and I'd maybe watched something, but I never really... If anything, I was more football. Henrik Larsson was probably my childhood hero.
Who do you support?
Celtic. Yeah. So he was a Celtic man, Henrik Larsson. So I suppose when I started training, I looked up to GSP. I thought he was still think he's pound for pound the best, the smartest. He always knew how to win. And I trained and sparred with him as well. We've shared sweat and blood, so that was pretty cool to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Well, I won't take up too much more of your time. Thank you very much. I know you want to head off and go training, but I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
No, that's all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and look forward to hearing your next fight announcement for sure.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Stevie. Talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.